Good morning. My name is Adam Kahn, and I'm the Rational Investor. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today's Monday, September 4th, Labor Day weekend. I hope I'm right on the 4th. I think I'm right, but not 100% sure. Anyway, until your doorman is talking about the markets, we haven't topped. That's my phrase. That's my coin. Whatever you guys want to take to that, and I'll explain in better detail as we move along. But before I forget, do me a favor, subscribe, like, gives a thumbs up, make some comments, tell me what I'm wrong about. I'm happy to discuss anything. So I've been looking at some of the data points and listening and rebutting some of them, and get into a few of them while we move along. Airbnb is going to collapse the market because so many people are in Airbnbs, their rentals are slowing down, they bought too late, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Let me tell you my take. First of all, a lot of the people who buy into Airbnbs are financially secure. They've probably put 20, 25, 30% down, or maybe even paid in cash. It's possible that their revenues are going down. It's also possible that their bookings on Airbnb are down, but they're going through booking.com or VRBO or other aspects as well, and we may not see that data 100%. So I'm not sure that I buy into their bookings are that bad. I think it makes for great, what's it called, clickbait. I think it makes for great headlines, but I don't think it's accurate. And even if it is, I think they're financially well off that they now make a different decision of, do I want to rent long term? Do I just want to make a little bit less? What do I want to do? Because I think there's a new mindset of the American dream, as opposed to I want to get older and own my home, that I want to get older and I want to own a few homes to help pay for my retirement. So I don't really see a lot of those properties just coming back to the market. I think a lot of those investors are trying to build a portfolio of houses and investments to be able to pay for their retirements. And they just see real estate as one good avenue to be able to do that, which is why I don't see those homes coming back and flooding the market. I think bigger concern on the Airbnb front is if you're in an area where they're looking to change the laws. Now, I did a video yesterday about what I see as actual good things about owning an Airbnb versus a long-term renter. And the main point that I was making is that people don't really live in the home. So I find they did less damage than people who rent long term. So one of the other things that I've been seeing is people talking about these 1% down mortgages and some of the other types of loans coming into play as to an indication that we're going to have another collapse. So, first of all, most of the programs for 1% down are very restrictive. You have to make less than 80% of the median income, or there are other things around it as well that create a really small box of people that would actually qualify for those loans. And one of the things that I read, you'd have to, if you're a single person, you have to be making less than 27,000 a year in whatever area they were looking at. And if you had no other debts, that qualified you for maybe 100 and I don't remember, so I don't want to make it up. But there were essentially two houses for sale in that area that would qualify for the people who could qualify for the 1% down programs. So in reality, despite that those sound like they could be the beginnings of bad lending, they really aren't. I think they're more marketing to drive the phones in those places that are trying to sell mortgages. If we go back to 2006 and 2007, the stated income with the option arm that was getting overly used and overly abused was a much worse program that we don't have in place anymore. Maybe the 2-1 buy downs of today are a little bit similar in sticker shock as they move up the chains, but even those are a little bit better laid out for clients than the option arm. I think when the option arm seasoned or matured, or whatever phrase you want to use, that when it became a fully amortized loan, I think people were really caught off guard that all of a sudden after 5 years their payments went up 4 or 5 fold from what they were used to paying. I don't think they really understood the product. It's a decent product if you're flipping a house and you need to keep the payment as low as possible for a short amount of time while you get the house fixed and can flip the home. But it wasn't really intended to be something that you would suggest to my mom or to a regular home buyer to get into the market. And I think people didn't really understand the product so well. Today, that's not the case. Typically, from what I see, people are better qualified, they're financially more secure, they have bigger down payments. If I saw and if I remember the number correctly, something like 30% of current home purchases are done in cash. So I don't really see them getting scared out of the market either. I think if you're paying cash for the property, you're going to weather the storm if there's a storm that's coming around. And I'll go back to my first comment and what I wanted to explain about when your doorman's talking about the markets. So I'm an old guy. Don't listen to me about any of this, by the way. I'm just some YouTube moron. But I'm old enough that I wasn't 12 years old when the internet bubble came around. I was living in Chicago. There's a lot of high rise buildings. Everybody had doormen, all my friends and everything else. No matter who I was going over to and visiting, I'd get into the front area with the doorman and they'd be asking me about stocks. Which new company did you buy? Which one's good? Which one's bad? Well, once you get into the position where everybody is talking about something, that's your indication of it's run its course and it's gone too far. I don't see that with stocks or real estate or anything else. In fact, I see quite the opposite, which is why I think it's still going. Now, you guys have to make your own decision. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial planner. I'm just an idiot on YouTube sharing my experiences. You guys need to make your own decisions, talk to your own financial planners, and don't take my advice. To be fair, I'm wrong a lot. But I don't see the euphoria. I don't see the excitement. And what I see is quiet markets with nobody really paying attention, people pretty skeptical. So they're going to sit there scratching their heads and shaking them, going, it just can't go any higher. It just can't. It doesn't make any sense. Once people start to say, oh my God, this thing just goes higher and higher, and everybody starts to pile in, is what I look for in terms of a market top. And in terms of a market bottom, the exact opposite. I haven't seen that. I don't go to the, I don't know, restaurant and the waiter or waitress talk about housing or stocks. I don't go to Home Depot and the cashier talk about it. That's the stuff I really try to look for. And these other indicators of credit card debts being high or car defaults on the rise. A, they're comparing them to times where people could get away with not making payments because the government would say it's okay. B, people didn't have to pay rent, so they had extra money. C, they were getting these free stimulus checks. And to be perfectly honest, I thought some of the corrections that we're seeing now should have happened a year or two ago. I'm a little surprised it's taken this long. My biggest concern is that the Fed will go too far and cause a bigger recession than is needed and maybe cause something to happen that shouldn't. But outside of that, I think things are pretty good. People should be a little stretched. They should be careful about what they're spending on. And if I could get one thing across to anybody watching this is do your best to save as much as possible when you're young. I don't care if you put it into a house. I don't care if you put it in stocks. I don't care if you put it into baseball cards or art or whatever it is you know about. Just do the best to save to put yourself in a good position as you get older. Because as you get older, your time horizon gets shorter and your ability to earn as you get significantly older, as I'm getting closer to that, goes down as well. So you really want to take those younger years to try to save as much as you can. And if you're looking at potentially buying your primary residence, your home to live in, I wouldn't look at that as an investment. I understand that in some ways it is, but I want to own my home. I don't want to rent. And the reason I chime in on some of these channels is I think suggesting to people that you're in a better position if you rent, I don't like that idea. If you're in the position to buy a home for your primary residence and the prices of homes go down, that's okay if you can afford your payments. And quite honestly, if you're continuing to save and you're in the position then to maybe save up for another down payment, maybe you can rent out what you just bought and move into something else that's a little bit nicer and offset your new payment with what you're able to rent the old one for. I don't see it as this big awful thing that housing prices might go lower. They also might not. And if they don't, I would hate to be the guy who's constantly waiting for that correction to come and it continue to get further and further away from me. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying if you're buying the house for you to live in, try to save and buy the house for you to live in. Don't keep renting. Don't keep listening to these guys rooting and rooting for some big housing correction. Get yourself in a good position. Start saving up money. What's the worst that happens? You've saved up money. It's okay if the housing goes up, goes down, whatever. Make sure you have the right finances, you're in the right position if something breaks, and try to own your home. I don't understand this thought of, oh, I'll rent because it's a better financial decision. What if your landlord kicks you out? What if they lose the house? There's so many what ifs that it's easy to look at anything and point to one aspect and say, oh, it's not a good idea because of this. It's great for views. And I'll tell you what, I'm 51 years old. I've been in market since I was 13. I've always heard great reasons why the market's going to go lower. It always makes great sense. It's always really rational. There's always great data points. And usually the people that think it's going higher are like, I don't know, it just goes higher. So it's really easy to believe all the reasons it might go down. But I joke with my brother that I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. So I'll make the bet that I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. And then tomorrow, I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I think that in the long run, as long as it doesn't happen tomorrow, markets continue to drift. So again, thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment. Feel free to tell me why I'm a moron and where I'm wrong. I'm happy to talk back and forth. And sometimes I am wrong, so don't worry about it. If my comments ever sound like I'm offended or I say something that sounds rude, I apologize in advance. I'm really pretty relaxed. I don't mean to sound that way. I'm a little opinionated, but I really don't mean to sound offensive if it comes off that way. So have a great Labor Day. Chime in. Hopefully I'll post another video tomorrow. Whoops, trying to hit stop. It'll stop eventually. Have a great day.